All right, people, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Dave, and this is Save America, Vote for Tulsi Gabbard. Article from Politico. By the way, you may hear some random kid noises and cartoon movie sound effects in the background. Another benefit of watching this channel. Dems institute rule to prevent undercard debate in June. By the way, thanks for all the new subscribers, and if you can help me out on Patreon, I seriously need the help. They're demonetizing my videos. I've been posting when they do that over on Twitter, hoping that it puts a little pressure on the folks over at YouTube. But thus far, a lot of times the first 1,000 videos are free. That's the way I look at it for YouTube. Anyway, let's analyze this article because this is interesting. This was dated yesterday. Zach Montellaro and Stephen Shepard. Dems institute rule to prevent undercard debate in June. Okay, before we even get going here, the rule sounds good. Sounds like a good rule, but I'm going to break it down as to why it could be problematic. A new rule adopted by the DNC and NBC News, working in concert. Right there, DNC and NBC News. Isn't that one and the same? If you're a Republican, you believe that, by the way. You believe it. You really, in every fiber of your being, you believe that. And it's really, we have to define it, though. The Republicans are right, and conservatives are right, but it's really the corporatist Democrats and NBC News working hand in hand. We saw CNN working hand in hand with Donna Brazile and Hillary Clinton last time around. So there's no question in my mind, as a Tulsi Gabbard supporter, watching NBC and MSNBC try to just completely derail Tulsi Gabbard with the Assad questions and the Putin questions. And can you tell us right now, is Assad an adversary? You know, Mika, she keeps asking the question over and over again. Very tied to the MIC. Very tied to it. No question about it. So anyway, a new rule adopted by the DNC and NBC News will evenly divide top-tier candidates across 2 nights in the first Democratic presidential debates in June, a move to maintain viewer interest in both events by making sure well-known contenders are on stage both nights. Okay, so ratings. Not about ideas. We need the big ticket person on stage both nights to maintain ratings, in case these debates aren't viewed all that much, because it is toward the end of June and a lot of people are packing up and going wherever. At least the debates aren't being buried on Sunday night with, like NFL playoffs on, or, this time of year you'd have, hockey and basketball going on maybe. I think they'll both be over by then. So it's good that they're certainly in a dry period for television. The problem is, the reason it's a dry period for television is historically people don't watch television in late June as much as they do at other times of year, primarily from, late September through May, when they have sweeps and season finales and so forth. So, if they had scheduled some debates like last week, that would have been really a good time to do it, because people are still home, kids are still in school for the most part, and they're watching TV still. Just a little side analysis. So Democrats getting at least 2% support in the polling average. And who's doing the polls? This whole thing, you can analyze this just on reading it and looking at words that they use in the article. So the polling average is determined by who? And has the polling average been accurate? Was it really accurate in the last presidential election? Also in the midterms. Remember, Democrats were supposed to sweep. They were supposed to, they did win the House back. Not super convincingly, but they won it back. And they lost seats in the Senate. And I don't think anybody predicted that. I don't think anybody did. Candidates below the threshold will also be evenly and randomly divided between the two debate lineups. Why does all of these things, all of these words and sentences, why do they all sort of send off bells and whistles inside of me? I don't even know what this means. So how are they going to determine if it's evenly and randomly? Do you put the names in a hat? I mean, I don't know. All right. The final list of debate participants. By the way, Elizabeth Warren is spending a ton of money putting ads here on Politico. I wonder where she's getting the money for the ads. No thanks. No thanks. I am not a fan of Elizabeth Warren. The final list of debate participants, after any tie-breaking procedures executed if necessary, will be divided into two groups. Candidates with a polling average of 2% or above, and those with a polling average 2% or below. Both groups will be randomly divided between Wednesday night and Thursday night, thus ensuring that both groups are represented fairly on each night. Okay. The rule will not keep any two candidates from appearing on stage together, but it will prevent random chance from loading one night with polling leaders and the other night with less well-known presidential candidates. This is the key. So you're probably not going to see Biden versus Bernie. You're probably not going to see Bernie and Tulsi together, because that would be a tag team of common sense. That would be a tag team of ideas, a tag team of anti-interventionist ideology, a tag team of economic populism. So you're probably not going to see Tulsi and Bernie together. The media can only take one of those at a time, because they've only got so many prepared questions that can rattle Bernie and Tulsi each night. They just cannot prepare in advance for the tornado, the Sharknado of both Tulsi and Bernie. 8 candidates have a polling average at or above 2% right now, according to these people. Joe Biden, Cory Booker, really? Pete Buttigieg, of course, Pete Buttigieg. And yes, I'm pronouncing his name like that on purpose. I'm sorry. Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, who? Beto O'Rourke, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren. How the heck does Amy Klobuchar poll consistently over 2% right now? With the newly announced rule, 4 would be guaranteed to appear on the first night, and 4 would be guaranteed to appear on the second night. Biden and Sanders currently occupying first and second place in most polls. Now they put Biden and Sanders first and second. So here they're saying clearly Biden is in first, Sanders is in second. I think that's BS. But anyway, I think the Biden bounce is already over. Good. That's my opinion. My opinion is just as reliable as this poll saying that it's first and second, with Biden being first. Anyway, they'll have a close to 50-50 chance of appearing on the same night. So it's 50-50 that they'll be on the same night. Well, we'll have to really watch this, because if they don't appear on the same night, I'll be right in all of my suspicions on how the DNC and NBC News, working together for the common good of the corporatists and the war machine, I will be pleasantly surprised if they put Biden and Bernie on stage. The only reason they would put Biden and Bernie on stage together is that they hope for some fireworks and people actually watching the debates, because that's what this is all about. This isn't about exposing Americans to ideas that could help them. This isn't about making the country better. This isn't about any of those things. It's just about ratings. According to a Politico analysis, 19 candidates have qualified for the first debates. And those are the 19. I'm not going to read them all. Tulsi is in there. Thank you. Then 13 of the candidates, including Tulsi Gabbard, have crossed the two thresholds. So she's in. She's in because of independent media like you, like me. We're all independent media. And also people like Williamson and Yang are in there. That's refreshing. Of course, you got your corporatists in there, a bunch of them, and because the rest of them are. I don't know about Williamson. She's a wild card. I'd like to see her stir it up and say some crazy stuff, and then have people like Tulsi and Bernie back her up, because I think she's got some good ideas. She's not going to be the president of the United States, but she's got some interesting ideas. Here's the bottom line. The DNC doesn't want a kids' table. Okay, well, that's nice. That's great. And then we go down to 2016. Republicans had a large field of presidential candidates, those getting the lowest poll numbers, seethed. They didn't seethe. They were probably disappointed or wished they had made the big table. This is the problem when you have so many presidential candidates. I didn't agree with the kids' table idea, but, what are you going to do? You're polling at, 0%, which Jeb Bush had, very low polling numbers. A lot of those guys have very insignificant polling numbers. But ideally, you'd like to have all the candidates on stage, but the more candidates you put on stage, the more diluted the good messages become. Hence, this is why there are 22 candidates now in. Steve Bullock. Who the heck is Steve Bullock? He just declared. He's, I think, the governor of Montana. I might be wrong about that because it's hard for me to keep track. Jay Inslee. Who is Jay Inslee? Okay? I mean, this is what I mean. And this guy, Swalwell, he just is this Trump antagonist who's there because he represents the Tribalist Wing, the 10 people who are screaming at the top of their lungs that they don't want issues to be a concern. They just want Trump out, which a lot of Biden supporters, I mean, you can go down the list. All of the corporatist candidates are basically garnering votes, garnering support from tribalist people who have no interest in Medicare for all or safe, secure elections. Tulsi Gabbard trying to make it so we have a backup system. All of this is very depressing. And this entire system and process, I truly believe it's rigged. Okay? And it's rigged in little ways, like this article explains here from Politico. It's rigged in bigger ways, and we will see those bigger ways playing themselves out in the days ahead. Right now, what we've got to be concerned about is supporting our candidate, which if you're a follower of this page, you'll know that it's Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm in this until Tulsi Gabbard is mathematically eliminated from contention, or, of course, she becomes commander-in-chief. And hopefully it's the latter and not the former, but I fear that, I'll be looking at some sort of third-party thing. That's what I fear at the end of this, and we have to keep the movement going. Independent thought, ideas that help people, help the common man and woman succeed here in this country, people with crushing student loan debt. I can go down the list. Healthcare, education, the environment, you can go down the list, all the things that people need right now, people are concerned about right now, and most of those things aren't being addressed. So, in any event, interesting article, and I think I broke that down the way I wanted to. You can always add your 2 cents to the comments section, and don't forget, if you can support me over on Patreon, there's a link on this page, it takes you over to my music page, Patreon. I do run another channel on here. I'm devoted to both channels, but this stuff right here is my real passion these days, with the country sort of becoming a tribalist, thought-free, idea-free country, which is really sad. And bring our troops home. Please, someone bring them home. I'm hearing 1,500 just got dispatched, or will be getting dispatched, to Iran. or to a region near Iran. So, yikes. It's not what I voted for. Not what I voted for. All right. See you soon.